Now we do have the dates for our next up and coming rep councils, and I want to share with you that our next meeting will be the fourth Monday in October, and I will have all of the dates for you before the end of the meeting. So I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the standing rules for our virtual meeting.
I move to adopt the standing rules for our virtual meeting.
Moved by Felix.
Second.
Second by Dr. Windsor. Without objection, I will adopt these standing rules for today. Is there objection?
No.
Thank you. Was there objection? No. Okay. All right. Next slide. Here is the agenda for today's meeting. The call to order and down to the approval of the minutes, appearances. Hopefully, these people were invited to come to the meeting today. Hopefully they'll attend. I know Anthony Brown is very busy today, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from him. Dr. Helen Coley and Dr. Kara Libby from the executive office will be here representing Dr. Golson today.
They are already here as well.
To have them here. It's not Kara Libby. That's an error. It's Kara. That's why I fixed it. We're going to talk about a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and an evaluation update. We have the treasurer's report, the old business committee reports. There's not going to be any committee reports because except for GR is the one and GR and the Minority Affairs Committee will be giving reports today. The rest of the committee reports will be up and coming over the next couple of months. There will be a president's report, PGCA, MSCA, NEA updates, distance learning updates. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Moved by Donna Christie, second by Michelle Clark. Without objection, I put the agenda before you. Are there any objections? Wonderful. Let's keep it rolling. So I just want, for those of you who are new, and this is your first PGCEA Rep Council, I want to introduce myself. My name is Teresa Mitchell Dudley. I've had the honor of serving as your president for the past 5 years. This is my last year. And I want to really thank you all for all of your support over the years. I also have today my vice president. I call her my because she's my salt to my pepper, Yvonne Basich, and our treasurer, Dr. Donna Christie, who also serves on the MSCA Board of Directors as well as our treasurer. Let's keep it moving. Josh. Okay, we also have our wonderful board of directors, and I will tell you, these people put in a lot of time and energy on a voluntary basis working on behalf of the membership of PGCEA. First, we want to keep one of our board members, Albert Barnes. I'm not sure if he's on the call. I can't see everybody. I know he was going through some medical procedures, so I'm going to ask you to keep Albert Barnes in your prayers as we move forward. We also have Michelle Clark, who also serves as one of our GO chair on our GO team and our GR committee. Annette Jones, Michelle Clark is a early childhood educator at Kenmore. We also Kenmore ECC. Albert Barnes is at Benjamin Stoddard Middle School. Annette Jones is an elementary school teacher from Perrywood Elementary School. Raina Miller serves on our board and she works out of OEP, I believe it is. and she coordinates the National Board Certification Program and works with our mentor teachers as well. We also have Felix Lazaro. I skipped you by accident, Felix. Felix Lazaro, who is at CT Reed Special Education Center.
She,
What'd I say?
Reed.
Oh, CT Reed, I'm sorry.
She,
And
Elizabeth
then,
Reed.
see, Elizabeth Reed.
Yeah.
We also have Dr. Suzanne Windsor, who comes out of our PPW ranks, and Philomena Owanu, who teaches at the Maya Angelou French Immersion School. Philomena also represents PGCEA on the MSEA Board of Directors. She just got elected to both. Go Philomena, your bad self. And we also have our professional school psychologist extraordinary, professional school counselor extraordinaire from High Point High School, the ever lovely Donna Yearwood. All right, that's your board of directors for PGCEA. Everybody can give them 2 snaps in a circle, okay? All right, let's keep it rolling. All right, so today, I want this is
Yeah, she's here.
okay, Josh, when our other guests arrive, can you give me a text?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Is Kara Libby here also? Let me just say something. When we adopt our agenda, we adopt it with flexibility because you never know what's going to happen in the virtual world either. But I did extend out, so I'm going to move things around a little bit because Dr. Coley is here and I want to honor her time. Is Dr. Libby here also?
Yes, Dr. Libby is here as well.
Yes.
Okay, so let me give you your proper introductions, please. So today, we've had some issues with the reopening plan, and we've had some great successes with the reopening plan. All is not bad. I'm just telling you, I know people are shocking in the classroom. I'm seeing video clips. I'm seeing people doing some amazing things with our children. The most important thing I want to say to everyone is we are all new. Everybody's new this year. Nobody has discernment about what is right and what is wrong yet. We're still trying to figure that out. And because of that, there were some concerns, and I wanted to invite some representatives from Dr. Golson's office to come share some information with us. We will take a few questions after they finish their presentation, and then whatever questions they don't answer, and if you put them in the chat, we will send them. And one of the things I will say for sure is any questions I have ever sent to the administration, I have gotten a response back. So today we have Dr. Helen Coley, who is the Chief of School Support and School Leadership. She most recently served as the Associate Superintendent for the Area 2 office, where she supervised all of the instructional directors and ensured, I'm reading right off the thing. Can y'all read that for yourself? Dr. Coley started her career as an educator at Potomac Landing Elementary School and has served as a challenge school instruction coordinator, school improvement specialist. And we go back a long way because when I first started teaching at Rogers Heights Elementary School, she was one of the area directors at the time. Next slide, please. Josh?
Yes, you want the next slide or you want Dr. Coley to speak?
I wanted Dr. Libby. There it is. Dr. Libby, Dr. Kara Libby, I've known her for a long time too, with over 30 years of educational experience. Dr. Libby most recently served as the Executive Director for the Office of Teaching and Learning, where she assisted the Deputy Superintendent in managing 5 departments. She has also served as the Director of Academic Programs. I could go on, and I could go on about the wonderment of Dr. Libby. But what's going to happen at the end of the meeting today, we're going to send you this PowerPoint presentation, and you can share it with your staff at your school, because there's links embedded in the PowerPoint that you can share with your staff. So without further ado, I'd like to turn things over to Dr. Libby and Dr. Coley so they can give us an update on the reopening. Dr. Coley?
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Everyone doing well?
Yeah.
I want to begin by thanking all of you because without you, the opening would not have gone as it has. These last so many days, who is counting, have been quite challenging for some, but we've made it. We've conquered. And
Dr. Coley, can you tip your screen down a little bit? We can only see it. There you go.
that better?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody good?
Now we got you. Okay.
Yes, and joining me today, did everybody hear what I just said though? In terms of thanking all of you for the great work that you've done these last so many days as we've begun a new school year unlike any other, as you all are aware. I did want to say this. I have to say this, Ms. Dudley, we weren't told about doing a presentation, but we were told to be here to support the meeting and to answer questions as they may arise.
Okay.
So, but I did want to also share with you that joining me today is 3 associate superintendents.
Okay.
And those 3 associate superintendents are Dr. David Curry, and Dr. Curry is the associate superintendent for Area 2.
Okay.
Dr. Carletta Merrill, who is the associate superintendent for Area 3. And the acting associate superintendent, Miss Elizabeth Faison from Student Services.
Wonderful.
So they have joined me today because I definitely want this opportunity to be as productive as you were intending it to be, and as I'm hopeful that it will be. There were some questions or 3 areas that were referenced that you sent to us earlier on today.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was specific to Wednesdays, another that was specific to evaluations, and then there was a 3rd category. Which one was? That was the 3rd one was which area, Miss Dudley?
Oh, now you're gonna make me.
There were 3 of them. There were 3.
We go to the first one, and I'll pull it up, and I'll get it because I know.
Okay.
Evaluation.
I think I said evaluation. Evaluation.
Oh, meetings
Wednesday.
per contract.
That is correct, meetings per contract. Thank you, Dr. Libby. So Dr. Libby, who is the one that's been quite masterful in completing this masterful document of our reopening plan, is going to talk to you a little bit about Wednesdays, and I certainly and the associates will join in because I know that is a reoccurring question that has come up quite a bit. Dr.
Good evening.
Libby?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Coley.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. It's Kyra Libby, and I actually have a new title, Strategic Initiatives Officer. And I believe some of you actually helped me with the reopening plan back in June, July, into August. So thank you very much. I appreciate your assistance. For the reopening plan, we did have a Wednesday schedule, and the reopening plan, of course, is on the website, so you can download it. But for Wednesday, for clarification, it's not supposed to be a full day schedule. It's not supposed to be a regular Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday schedule. Wednesday is supposed to be for small groups, related services, struggling readers, talented and gifted, interventions, English language learners. It can also be for students who need to work on projects. So that is what the Wednesday schedule, the intent was when we put it in the reopening plan. Dr. Coley's team, and then I had a team, we actually looked at every school schedule about 2 weeks ago, and we gave principals feedback on their schedule and for Wednesdays. I just want to share with you one schedule that I did look at, and this school had a Wednesday schedule, and these were some of the activities that they have in their Wednesday schedule. Special education pull-out session, English learner pull-out session, office hours, collaborative planning, Naviance for all students, professional development for teachers, and they said this may not occur weekly. Then they had the lunch bunch, because also Dr. Coley said Ms. Faison is on with us this evening, and also that social emotional learning. We embedded it, but that could take place on Wednesdays as well. Some schools do have instruction on Wednesday, but again, it's not their full schedule. So they may have shortened the time. So instead of having 45 minutes, 90-minute courses, they may have had 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But then within those 20, 30 minutes, the students are meeting in small groups. So for example, if I was still teaching social studies and I wanted my students to talk about that debate last night, I might have them into small groups, into different Zoom classrooms. And I may meet with group A, tell me about your project, you have any questions, and then they would go back and work independently, and then I meet with group B. Students are still supposed to be doing some type of work on Wednesday. It's not a day off for them. So again, they may be doing a small group, going to the related service, but they may be working online on iRead, iReady, Dreambox. Again, like this one school, they were doing Naviance. Or the professional school counselor may be pulling small groups for that social emotional learning. So it's not set in stone, and it's not a schedule that we said all schools have to follow and do it like this. That's why we left it open, and we left it open and gave just general examples in the reopening plan.
Dr. Libby, one of the big questions I'm seeing rolling in the chat right now, and I'm gonna pop in and out with the questions as appropriate, if you don't mind, is how are we calculating attendance for those days on the Wednesdays? Because if you don't meet with the student and you give them an assignment to do, how do we do that? Because it's different in elementary, middle, and high school. And I'm getting bombarded in my email and as well as in this chat today.
Thank you. So Ms. Faison, Student Services Acting Associate Superintendent, can address that question, but we have it in the reopening plan, and Dr. Coley, Ms. Faison, Dr. Golson, we were in a Google Doc for hours trying to figure out how to take the attendance for Wednesday. But I will let Ms. Faison address that question.
Dr. Faison? She needs to be unmuted.
I'd like to begin prior to, and as soon as she unmutes herself, she can join in. I know I did see a couple of chats that did come across the screen as well. One in particular, should there be full creative arts classes occurring on Wednesdays? As you just heard Dr. Libby, that was not a part of the description of what Wednesday should entail. So Wednesday should be those small group opportunities. And back to what you just referenced to Ms. Dudley, on Wednesdays, with the respect to taking attendance, it specifically identifies, I think it's on page 78, that students' adherence to any of those denoted areas would be the manner or the process by which attendance would be taken. Give you an example. If I have Helen, she's in my reading class, and I'm letting Helen know that on Wednesday, one of the ways, she has to submit something to me. The submission of what I've asked that she do in terms of an assignment would be, in fact, a way by which I am taking account of attendance. Back to what Dr. Libby just described with reference to small groups, interventions, that as well is a way by which attendance can be taken for students. Wednesdays should not be operating, as Dr. Libby just referenced, a day for, or typical, or alike, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. It should not be such. And if I could just add this one other thing before Ms. Faison speaks. What we did with regard to what Dr. Libby has said, we have gone through actual schedules. And thank you, Ms. Dudley, for your submission of places by which it was not necessarily consistent with what the expectation should be occurring in buildings on Wednesdays. And in each instance, when you shared that information with the CEO, who in turn shared it with me, we spoke directly with those building leaders to ensure that it was in fact corrected. So I do want to continue to say, should situations arise that is not consistent with what we're saying, I appreciate it if you continue to bring those matters to our attention, excuse me. Ms. Faison, are you there
Um,
on the call?
not sure. Is she there?
I am. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
I
Yes.
see.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got it.
Okay.
And congratulations, Dr. Faison, for your position being the new director of student services.
Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully I'll be defending shortly. So I'm not doctor yet for everybody who's
Oh, I thought you already did.
hard
Okay.
for it. But what I wanted to say around taking attendance for Wednesdays, because when our reopening plan first rolled out, as Dr. Libby mentioned, and Dr. Coley as well talked about, the fact that we did quite a bit of recalibrating back and forth to ensure that we really took into account, the needs, the situation, the time that we're living in as far as distance learning, while we are stating that instruction should be rigorous. There were a number of things that we did go back and amend. For example, initially we were taking attendance for elementary students in the morning and again in the afternoon. And so one of the things that we revised in the administrative procedure was for elementary students, that we would be taking attendance for them only in the morning. Additionally, a TC code was developed for students who had technological glitches on a particular day, or if their device was broken. Also, if they had internet connectivity issues on a particular day, they would have to, the parent would have to let the teacher know. And for those cases that we have some kind of notification from the parent, we're able to use the TC code for that particular student on that day. As far as Wednesdays are concerned, there are 4 criteria for which a student can be considered present. So if they submit an asynchronous assignment, that would mean that you as the teacher would need to say to the student, I want this assignment completed by 3 o'clock. And after that time, you may take attendance for all of the assignments that you have received. If you've received an assignment for the student can be marked present for that day. If you did not receive an assignment for the student can be marked absent, and certainly with a 20 if the parent did not contact you with a reason as to why the child is non-participatory on that day. The second way that we mark a student present on Wednesday is if they are in some form of related service. It could be, as Dr. Libby mentioned, they could be in individual counseling or group counseling. The third way, it could be with instruction or live instruction or tutoring with a teacher that day. And the fourth way is if they are participating in one of the educational supplemental software. So those are some of the really the guiding principles around taking attendance for that day. And so if a child is present for instruction, live instruction, they are to be marked present. And if not, they are to be marked absent on the other days.
So I just want to jump in here and ask a question. It might be difficult if I am teaching middle school and I give an assignment for my students for that day. So they would have to check in and do that assignment before the end of the day, and that way we would know whether or not they were there. Because I'm sensing that if someone's working with a related service for a counseling session, then that classroom teacher that may not see that student for the day, to eliminate the running around, from how would everybody be? How would they access to mark that student present?
So to operationalize it, if I'm the counselor and the child is normally scheduled for a particular class on Wednesday and the child is with me, then I should notify the teacher on record for the time that I am seeing the student, that the student is present with me during that time. And so that's how the teacher of record will know that the child is participating in a different kind of activity. There has to be that communication from the people who are really, working with the student that particular day to make sure attendance is recorded correctly.
Okay.
What I also want to say, Teresa, is in working with IT, teachers have 16 days to correct attendance. So for instance, if you give your student until 10 p.m. to complete an assignment, it depends upon the rigor of the assignment. The teacher may say, I'm going to give you all day to complete this assignment. It must be in by 11:59. The teacher can take attendance that very next morning when she goes in to check all of the assignments that she has received from the student to therefore mark the student present for the preceding day.
So there are some concerns in the chat. I'm just going to share them with you about that a lot of people are feeling like this wasn't made clear. And so that some of the children, students may have been punished for not having that level of attendance, or that. So what you're saying to us now is that for the, that we can go back 16 days. If there are issues with attendance at this point, should they notify their administrator that there were attendance issues?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Teachers have and really have always had, 16 days to rectify any attendance issues. We at some point may determine that we may extend that window just for a certain amount of time to do some data cleanup for the system. But right now you have 16 days to go back and fix an attendance issue. Perhaps a student will provide a note the next day or within the next 2 days. Once you receive the note as to the issue, perhaps a parent couldn't say on the day that the child was absent as to why, because of the technological issue. So once we know the reason for a student not participating or engaging in attending that day, then you do have an opportunity to go back and update that child's attendance.
Right, and to Deborah Neal, that is for this is for Wednesdays. Your regular attendance applies for all the rest of the days, from my understanding. If I'm wrong, you guys, you ladies are the ones that can tell me. And Mr. Curry, I heard you were on here too. So
can we, if you don't mind, Ms. Dudley, can I have Dr. Curry now to share with you the communications were just asked a question specific to middle school?
Yes.
Can I have Dr. Curry to weigh in, please, to share with you specifically what communication has gone out to all middle school administrators during the last meeting?
Well, the communication has been consistent across areas. And how's everyone doing? I know we were introduced with a chance to speak. So how's everyone? So we've reiterated the principles in regards to what should be done on Wednesdays, what has been consistent with what was shared by Dr. Faison, which is Wednesdays is specifically for small groups and asynchronous assignments or related services. And so I can't share anything beyond, because every week we share the same message at the beginning of the week through direct emails, through updates. And so for us, it's easier if people are not following the information that they're being given, to make sure that we're communicated with so that we can address that school directly. But all principals have received information specific to what Dr. Faison has just shared in regards to what is expected to happen on Wednesdays and how attendance will be taken.
So if there are issues with that, I'm going to say this to my my reps who are on the line. Everyone has the email address contacts@pgcea. If you have a schedule that is not in compliance with what the directives are, then you need to submit it to me. I submit them directly to Dr. Coley, and she acts on them. And I know for sure there have been several buildings that we have gotten some changes made there. And Mr. Curry, I know you're not Helen Coley. I see Helen.
I know. I don't know why that happened, but he's
Helen Coley, except for Kara Libby.
And I appreciate in that correspondence, if it's specific, because we do receive emails that may say that schools or some schools are, and so it's much harder to actually follow up and get the response and get things corrected without that level of specificity.
And I did see something come up about high school. So Dr. Mara, would you chime in about, so we can go ahead and talk about what it's like across the levels?
Yes, my Zoom kept going out, and so I was trying to look at them. Is the absent code for high school if students are not in those categories outlined? Yes, if students are not doing one of the four, then they should be marked absent just as they are marked absent on a regular Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And so again, as Dr. Curry stated and Dr. Sessom stated, the attendance policy and asynchronous learning is the same in high school. The four categories make the difference. Students submitting work in small groups or working on technology, things of that nature. Someone asked, how do you take attendance? Attendance is taken based on those same things. If they submit an assignment, if they are working in a small group, you know, if you say to a group, I'm meeting with you from 9 to 9:30 and I'm meeting with you from 9:30 to 10, if you, for instance, if you split your class in half, then they are marked present because again, you have met with them, you have seen them. And so in most cases, what I've seen, because someone asked the question about if they go to the counselor or if they go to another teacher, think about it like a field trip. When you go on a field trip, your school sends out a list that says, hey, Johnny's been on this list of students has been on a field trip today. And then you go back in and you mark the absent code for field trip. And so it would be the same thing on a Wednesday. If in fact, I've seen schools that have logs that they keep up with 1,000 children and they have attendance being taken and the teachers know where they are and they're able to code them properly for their attendance. And so it's a matter of what a Wednesday does with asynchronous learning. It's really important to be organized and plan. You know, it's meant for us to help our students to actually get caught up, to get extra assistance. We've been out since March and there's a need to make sure that those gaps that our students may have, we can fill them. And so when you think of asynchronous learning, especially in high school, think about that quiz you gave, and I was just saying on nouns, and several students didn't do well. So you need to reteach that concept to that group of students. So it allows you to pull that group of students out, focus on them, while you give the others some other assignments to do independently. And this is a time you could do teacher-student one-on-one counseling sessions, or check-ins where you could talk to them about their grades, their interventions, and their supports, while your other students could be working on a different assignment to help them. And so when you talk about small group, one of the things we've learned through this process, especially with high school, we're doing some professional development with our principals that'll come down to the teacher level and working with CNI to do the same with teachers, because we've noticed that in high school, that is a gap, you know, in terms of small group instruction. And so just helping you all to strategize around how to make it easy for yourselves in the high school setting. So that's the piece, that it's all the same, but it is different in terms of the number of students, of course, but it's basically meant as that intervention time. We also talk to principals about advisory, that time your counselors can do those counseling lessons.
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
He was very
The other time that your counselors can do those professional school counseling
No,
lessons.
the first time when we first.
Things of that nature that makes a difference, you know, that you can actually use Wednesdays so that the students are getting that time. Like right now, our coaches are able to do lessons like NCAA, SAT prep. So you can use those Wednesdays. Your peer leaders in the high school level can do some things around college and career readiness. And so, you know, it's a day that actually, if you do asynchronous learning, it just has to be organized and planned. And that's especially important on all levels, but definitely high school when you're talking 600 to 2,800 students.
And Ms. Dudley, there's a question about the Wednesdays. You're muted, Ms. Dudley. There's a question about the schedule. So Wednesdays alternate. So one Wednesday's a A, the next Wednesday is a B, then A, then B. The calendar is on the PGCPS website. So if anyone needs to see what the Wednesday is, but the Wednesdays alternate A day, B day.
So I I did want to add, because even as Dr. Morrow was talking, there were questions about whether students should be penalized if they're not physically or are not present for class. And so just clarifying once again, they can be considered present if they're participating in any one of the three things that was mentioned, which is small group instruction, which may be participation with related services, or completion of asynchronous assignments. And so if that's not happening, as we mentioned earlier, we just have to be notified so that we can help schools kind of create systems of communications if that's an issue. But students should not be penalized, and it's not the expectation that you have to see every student on a Wednesday if they haven't been selected for a small group.
Okay, so one of the questions that I saw was about the TC code for technology. If a student doesn't have technology on a given day, how is that to be recorded, and how many times do they get to use that? Because I mean, if I were in high school, I might want to say, well, you know, my computer wasn't working yesterday, Miss Jones, or, you know, Dr. Coley, my computer wasn't working 3 days in a row, or, you know, just not to do work.
Yeah, that Ms. Faison can come back up and talk about that too, because we did find the need for that. And we recognized that we could not penalize a student if in fact their device was broken. I certainly hear what you're saying, Ms. Dudley, because there are certain things that kids do tend to do once they become accustomed to, hey, this works. At the same time, if you find that there's a student where this is a repeated practice, definitely it would require there's some additional intervention to find out specifically why Helen is continuing to say this about her device. So it requires too reaching out to those students to be very specific and deliberate around what they are actually communicating weekly. Liz, you want to talk about that TC code?
The TC code is even written in our attendance policy to state if a child's device is broken, that we have allowed ourselves 5 days to be able to receive the device, repair, or just reissue another device. However, if there are other issues, let's just say this week the device was broken, next week it may be a storm and the child cannot connect to the internet. Perhaps the parent didn't pay a bill and they couldn't log on to Zoom for a particular day. So we know that the TC code really, the way it is written, it can be utilized for those days for which there is an instance where the child cannot log on to Zoom and participate in live instruction for that day. Unfortunately, we know that those who will seek to take advantage can take advantage of any system. But for the good of the cause and recognizing that, you know, some of the situations that we know our parents are in right now, we, you know, put the TC code there so that when there is a viable issue, that the child is not penalized. And what the TC code does and means, it is the same code, it is the same kind of provision as if the child is on a field trip. So it means that the child is reported present for instruction, even though they did not show up for live instruction in the building. It does not penalize the student. And all work that the child misses, they are afforded an opportunity to make up all missed work during distance learning.
Well, the concern with that is how far do we have to go in allowing students to make up work? And we don't have to address the response to that right now, but I can hear that one coming, because then we get bombarded right before the end of the quarter of students that want to make up work who have just been lazy, you know, and we understand, look, we understand discretion in allowing students to make up work. And I think most teachers get that. I think the issue of, you know, the amount of time that is outlined in the reopening plan and in the already adopted policy on how long it is between, how long people have before they can turn work in.
If I can address that,
yes.
If I can address that, before we came into distance learning, in our attendance procedure, we said if a child was absent for a day, then they get a day after they return to make up the work. If the child is absent for 2 days, upon their return, they are afforded 2 days to make up the work and return it in. So I would not imagine that we would be on a different system. So the day that they return, if they're absent for a day, they get a day to make up the work. So that's what's currently written in our attendance administrative procedure.
And it's also referenced on page 80 of the reopening plan. It's specific to exactly what the grading procedure should be around 5121.1.2.3 across the level. So that has not changed, but it has in fact been updated.
And I want to just say to our members that are here that there are guides on the website that you've got to get into now, and you need to have a copy of it. You should have a copy of the reopening plan. Even if you don't print it out, put it on your desktop so that you can reference it. You need to have a copy of the evaluation, distance learning evaluation plan. You should have the timeline for evaluations. You should have what the differences are, the look-fors for this year. All of those things are available in your staff portal. And I know Prince George's County Public Schools has not trained us on how to use the staff portal. I get that, but I'm telling you it's there now so that you know that you can access that. I do want to ask a couple of questions that I am getting a lot of. Number one is sub coverage and the clarity as to who's responsible for obtaining subs, and the use of staff members who are in the school as coverage, i.e. professional school counselors, specialists who are being not only asked to cover classes, but also being assigned classes in SchoolMax. So if you could address that, Dr. Coley.
Substitutes are just as they were pre-COVID. Utilizing the system, ASOP, the system that is utilized, it is the same now as it was before. So whenever there's a request for a teacher submits a leave request, same process that was pre-COVID, where the request would be made through ASOP for a sub that still exists. I do hear that there are places where a person on staff may be asked to cover a colleague's classroom. That should certainly be communicated to the principal. The principal, I'm assuming, is the one that has asked the additional colleague to cover another's classroom. But there is a process in place. In the contract, it stipulates exactly what is to occur in such instances. So the sub piece is no different than it was previous. Now, of course, we have some substitutes that are a little at angst about this whole process because they too are not very knowledgeable about our new way of virtual learning. You were going to say something, Ms. Dudley?
Well, the consideration around sub coverage is some of our Unit 1 members have been asked to record their emergency sub plans in advance, and if they're going to have to record the emergency sub plans, then they shouldn't have to take a day of leave because they already did all the work for the day. They planned it, they've delivered the lesson. So I guess my question is, do they need to I'm assuming they don't need to pre-record their sub plans.
I don't know. I have to get back to you about pre-recording of sub plans. This is the first that I've heard of that. I'm not saying that it is not a part of our process currently, but it is the first that I've heard of such. And I can't reiterate this enough. This is certainly, as you indicated yourself, Ms. Dudley, not a perfect world right now. Right. But I can assure you that when matters are brought to our attention, that we address them expeditiously to eliminate any future concerns around these topics. So if you could tell me specifically where there are instances, not necessarily today, but as you do in always, send it to the attention of Dr. Golson, where there are concerns specific to substitute coverage, we will certainly address it.
That would be a wonderful thing. And I think that I have been sending them on a weekly basis,
Yes.
mainly because emails are
Good. It's
bombarding us.
good.
If I get one more email today, I'm just going to bang my head on the desk.
And
But
Ms. Dudley,
we understand that.
Ms. Dudley, are you able to get someone to, because there are a lot of questions coming in the chat that
Mhm.
and they're just coming. Is there any way you can get someone to send those, what they're asking? Because a lot of things are coming.
I'm so glad you asked that. What we're going to do is we're going to get the text from the chat and decipher the questions and put them in a cohesive manner and send them to you as soon as possible. I think that I want to say one thing. We're talking about a lot of the negative and the issues and the problems that we're facing, but I do want to say that there are some teachers that are doing some amazing things, and that PGCEA is going to be highlighting some of those great, powerful educators that we have in putting together some professional development around that so that we can help support each other as we move through this, because we're all new. We're all new money.
And if I could add something, someone says teachers deal with this every day. Beware the chat room. Look, I'm a teacher. I mean, my position is a different position, a title now, but I will be a teacher forever. So I can appreciate the questions that you have. It is our expectation that we provide to you the appropriate responses. So don't shy away from any question. The questions are here for a purpose, and we got you. We're going to answer them.
Okay, so I have a question now about the evaluations. We, under all of the classes that were originally scheduled, did get pushed back because of there were some issues with the plan. I'm going to be quite frankly with you in, making it a pilot, and we got that approved. The MSDE has now approved the Prince George's County program, where we're not going to, and I'll go over that in evaluations in a minute when I get to the president's report. But our question is, when will the classes be, when will they start the courses again in training our members on the change in the evaluations and the observations that are coming up? Because I understand they're supposed to start back on the 12th.
Oh yes, the observations, that is correct. And communication was sent today by our Chief of HR, Dr. Murphy, specific to that. It addresses both the formal observations and the informal observations. So yes, that did in fact go out to all on today. You are correct.
What about the in-servicing for the members?
What type of in-servicing are you making reference
Well,
to?
Bridget Blue had in her office, they had a bunch of courses set up for people about FFT and SFE that they could attend.
Okay.
And they postponed them because of the issues with the plan, because we had to come to an agreement on it.
Mhm.
And now that we've come to the agreement, we were just wondering, when will those be restated? Because it's not fair for people to be observed or evaluated when they have not been in service on what the changes are in the evaluation system.
I will follow up with Dr. Murphy because that particular department reports to her. So I will follow up following our meeting on today and share with her the question that you've raised, and she will provide a follow-up to your inquiry.
Okay, I did send her an email earlier today, but
Okay.
with them giving September the 12th as a date for them to
October 12th.
back up again,
Mhm.
those the people who are on cycle really need to be able to access that that support.
Okay.
I want to just personally thank you all for coming on today. We do have other business that we need to do as an association, and you have been here with us for approximately 40 minutes, and I thank you for that. Now, I want everybody to look who's on this camera right now and see. We have Dr. Helen Coley, we have Kara Libby, we have Elizabeth Faison, and I am going to say this to the professional school counselors that are that are listening and watching. We are scheduling a meeting with Dr. Faison and Lawrence. Is that it? Is that his name?
Dr. Leon Washington?
Leon Washington, I knew it was Leon Washington, to discuss some of the issues that are surrounding the professional school counselor schedules. The one last question that I had was, there was some concern about equity in duties, and school specialists not having to do classes on Wednesdays, and then the equity around pulling the professional school counselors and having them cover classes with the lessons that they're supposed to be given, and being scheduled to give teachers time, break times for planning, for collaborative planning. And what my concern is the lens in looking at these needs to be one of equity in people's time. And looking at people's time and making sure that we're fair about it. The other concern that I saw a lot was access to the buildings, because some of our people do not have technology. And there were some concerns surrounding back to school nights, where some of the teachers that were actually going into the building found out that instead of going into the building and being able to participate back to school night in the schools, that they were told that the school was going to be closed. So these types of, when I say equity, I mean, having that access to technology. We've been running an opportunity to learn campaign. I've been talking to members of Congress about this. Technology for our educators is a big thing. And if your computer breaks down, what should you do? If something happens to your school issue computer, what should you do?
Tell your principal, first of all. If you are a classroom teacher in any building and something happens to your computer, you first should tell your principal. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
So are you suggesting that after someone may have told their principal that there was no action taken?
No, I just want everybody to hear you say that.
Okay, tell the principal. That's what I would expect. If you know, having been a former
because I don't know, I'm not a technology.
Having been a former principal, if someone is having a problem with their device, I would assume that they tell me. That's the relationship that I built in the school where I was principal.
Now, there are some other specifics that are in here they're really specific to particular schools. And what I want to share with everyone is that no one likes to be publicly admonished. And this today was not meant to be a moment of dragging administrators through the mud. Today was meant to be a moment of sharing information and getting the questions that I'm hearing the most answered, because this Zoom call will be on will be posted on our YouTube page, so that if any of our members can see this. I want everyone to give everybody 2 snaps and say thank you to our guests who are here. And I'm going to ask you to please put what your question is, if it's specific to your school, in the chat, and we will share those with the wonderful folks who are here with us today. You know, all is not lost in Whoville, and I want to thank you all for the work that you've been putting in. And I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Libby, and Dr. Coley, who spent a good part of, I'm gonna say all of their summer, putting together this reopening plan for Prince George's County Public Schools. And I'm publicly gonna say that I want to thank Dr. Golson for having the wisdom to shut it down for the whole semester.
That's right.
So that we can do what we need to do and be consistent, at least for the next 6 months. And whatever comes after that, we can talk about it then. But right now, we are safe, and we are working out of our homes and safe from the COVID. So I want to thank all of you for being here with us today. And I know that I can call on any of you at any time. You've always been responsive to me as the president of PGCEA. So thank you very much for being here today. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dudley, and thank you to everyone else. Continue to have a great school year. Take care.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I know we didn't get to everybody's question. All is not lost. We will get this together. Hey, Mary. All right, I want to quickly introduce somebody really special, and that is our Prince George's County Teacher of the Year, Mary Piccarelli. Yay. Hi, Mary.
How are you?
Good, good, good.
I wanted to first say good evening to everyone. My name is Mary Piccarelli. I'm the third grade teacher at Cooper Lane Elementary School in Landover Hills. This is my 8th year teaching and my 8th year in Prince George's County as well. So I wanted to say first, thank you PGCEA for the invitation and all the support over the last 8 years. When I say this, I mean it. I am so honored to work with so many talented educators in Prince George's County. As you know, distance learning is new and it is definitely a lot. With that being said, I highly encourage everyone to find your support system, whether that person's in your school or in a neighboring school who teaches the same subject. A lot of times we hear the term, it takes a village, and a lot of times that's in reference to children, but I firmly believe that right now it also relates to teachers. So find that colleague to support you in not only analyzing data, planning, classroom management, and so much more. Together we can do this, and I know that everyone's gonna have a successful rest of their school year. So thanks for having me today.
All right, thank you, Mary. I had the pleasure of visiting her Cougar classroom at Cooper Lane. So you guys know I was really feeling quite at home there. Thank you for joining us today, Mary. We really appreciate you. Now I want to turn to someone who some of you know already, and those of you who may not know him. MSEA just went through Maryland State Educators Association. Let me clean that up. We are an affiliate of the Maryland State Educators Association. There are 23 affiliates. Baltimore City is not one because they are AFT. And we went through a big process this year, and with the exit of David Helfman as the executive director of MSEA, we have a new executive director, and I want to introduce the new executive director of MSEA, Mr. Sean Johnson. Is he on yet? Let me double
I
check.
think we lost him. I thought I saw him, but he's not here anymore.
He's not here no more?
No.
I told him 5:40. All right. Josh, text him again. You want me to email him?
I got it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mary Piccarelli. So let's move along on the agenda. And next we have the issues for emphasis that we voted on in our last rep council that we had in August, and we adopted the let me just say something. I'm hearing a lot of conversation in the chat room, and I want to say this about the SEL videos because I didn't get a chance to have them answer that one when they were all on. If you did the first SEL videos, the first 4 of them or 3 of them, you don't have to do any more right now for the deadline, which was today. Those were what you did, okay? Over the course of the year, you will have to eventually watch all of the videos. I will say this. Social and emotional learning was at the request of PGCEA. We requested it because it is important for us to understand the social and emotional learning strategies that we need as educators in the classroom. It's not always can that kid add 1 and 1 and get 2. Sometimes that child might have some other social emotional deficit that you need to recognize and be able to help that child. So I know there's problems with it kicking people out. I want you to keep sending those things to contacts@pgcea.org. It's kicking people out because everybody's trying to get them done. I get that. If there's an issue where people are not able to get them done, then I will go to Dr. Golson and say, boom, Dr. Golson, this is a problem. And she'll say, okay, let's give them a little bit more time, which she has been very willing to do that and to work with us on that. So I don't see that it'll be that much of an issue. Just try to do the best you can for right now. And I promise you, if there are significant findings after we finish today, and we can see what we can do about getting the deadline pushed. Okay. Is Sean back on?
Sean is back.
Hey, Sean. Where is he? Oh, he's in the room. Let him in. Admit. Did you let him in? Sean?
Yeah, he should be in now.
Sean Johnson?
Hello, Teresa Dudley.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Congratulations on your new selection as the executive director.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You go ahead and talk to us a little bit about your role and the Kirwan Commission and the blueprint and la-di-da-di.
And everything. Well, hi, everybody. Hello, PGCEA. Thank you, President Dudley, and thank you all for making time. As Teresa introduced me, I am on day 30 of a new job as the executive director at MSEA. MSEA, as you all know, is the state affiliate of NEA and works with you all in running statewide program that really only works when it is relevant and connected to the work that you all are doing. And so the partnership that MSEA has with PGCEA and other local affiliates is really important to me. I know it is how the best way to drive our collective vision and collective mission. So many of our members identify themselves as PGCEA members. They might not even know what MSEA or NEA stands for. So it is super important for us to be relevant and meaningful to you because of great staff that we have in Prince George's County supporting PGCEA, really smart programs that are valuable and meaningful to your members, and leadership opportunities and trainings that help all of you improve and better your skills as building reps and association leaders. And so I just want you to know how important all of that is to me as executive director, and anything that I can do to be of service to you. I know I'll hear about it from Teresa, and I'm sure from Jennifer, but if there is ever anything that you need, I am an email, a phone call, a text away, and look forward to working with all of you in this new capacity. The job that I am kind of leaving behind was that for the last 10 years, I've been the legislative and political director for MSEA. And in that capacity, I've worked with you all in many different ways, including moving our legislative agenda. Most recently was our successful push to pass the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. That was a 4-year work in progress as we were developing policies that we know are necessary to reform and improve student learning and retention of educators and professional salaries and staffing levels and all sorts of other important elements that go into meeting the educational needs of students and the professional needs of educators. It made its way through the legislative process that with key elements related to a more equitable funding formula so that we were delivering dollars to students that needed the most help because they come from areas of concentrated poverty. Maybe they have special education needs or they're English language learners. And our funding formula was not providing enough to students that we know need more in order to do their very best. This new formula would do that. Not overnight. It's an expensive proposition. It gets phased in over, frankly, a decade that we would need to be on top of from an implementation standpoint to make sure that we don't backslide. But before we could even get off the ground and start implementation, Governor Hogan used the pandemic as a reason to veto the bill. And so our first order of business when the General Assembly reconvenes in January is going to be that we need to override the veto of the blueprint. That will be a critical step to take. But we're also going to need to likely pass an emergency bill that goes along with the blueprint so that it can still be implemented with fidelity. You know, because of this delay, because of the veto, if you just override it and let it ride, we would actually be hurt by having new policy and reforms in place before the money is there, pretty much committing us to failure, because there would be expectations of things to change before the resources would really be there to bring about that change. And so we need to make sure as we override that we also recalibrate and take into account the inequities that the coronavirus has really exposed. This is a great opportunity for us to front load dollars for community schools. I know initiatives that PGCEA has been on the leading edge of, that we can front load dollars for recruiting and retaining educators at a time when it is very hard to convince people, hey, come join this profession. And where we can hopefully finally address the homework gap and the digital divide that impacts students and educators alike. I know something PGCEA, along with BTU and NEA and MSEA, have really been a part of on corporate pressure and public policy initiatives. All of those will be part of that companion bill that we are going to be at the table drafting, and I just wanted to put on your radar because we are going to be an override and strategy as it relates to when the General Assembly comes back. So I've been talking and not reading your chat comments, so I'll take a break.
Let me tell you, one of the big questions I saw
Sure.
Was about the ballot questions.
Yeah.
And
There are
what our
two-
position was.
Yeah, there are 2 statewide ballot questions on the November ballot, and maybe in the ballot that you have already received in your mail because people have already started voting. The MSEA Representative Assembly on the 16th of October will be the body that officially takes the MSEA position on question 1 and question 2. The MSEA Board of Directors is recommending support for both question 1 and question 2. Question 1 is really about how the state budget is developed. Right now, the governor of Maryland, not because it's Larry Hogan, this has been true for as long as we've had governors and a General Assembly. The governor has incredible budget authority where it's always been a he, hopefully that can change someday, where he introduces a budget and all the General Assembly can do is cut it. In fact, we're the only General Assembly of the 50 states that they have such limited power in developing the budget. Question 1 would change that. They would bring us in line with the 49 other states so that the General Assembly has the ability to move money, invest in priorities differently, add, cut, and whatever from the budget. It still has to be balanced. That is still a constitutional requirement, could not exceed what the governor introduces as a total budget spend, but creates more flexibility so the General Assembly that has routinely been standing by public education can protect some of those investments in ways that they've been under assault, frankly, for the last number of years. So that's question 1. It's good budgeting to support. We've supported it from a policy standpoint for the last 2 years. Question 2 is about sports betting. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, West Virginia, I think DC even just recently has expanded their gaming offerings. We obviously already have commercial gaming in the state, has expanded their gaming offerings to allow for sports betting. Maryland's constitution on gaming requires any expansion of gaming to go to the voters again. So question 2 basically asks voters, should we expand our gaming to allow for sports betting to benefit education? There'll need to be a bill that passes in 2021 to make sure that that money goes to the Education Trust Fund. That will be important to us. I know one of the earlier comments was, hey, what about this casino money? You all, we together did a lot of heavy lifting in 2018 to pass a constitutional amendment that we called Fix the Fund to make sure that the money that does accrue to the Education Trust Fund from gaming is new money each and every year above and beyond what our current funding formulas are. So as we think about how do we pay for the blueprint, how do we pay for a new funding formula? Because we passed the Fix the Fund initiative in 2018, all the gaming revenue, state revenue, or new state revenue, if question 2 passes, could help pay for the blueprint. So The MSEA Board of Directors is recommending support for both question 1 and question 2, but it will ultimately be up to the RA delegates to decide those issues in 2 weeks.
So Sean, I have a question for you, and I forgot to ask you this earlier. So now that you're the executive director, as opposed to the political director, will you still, is the Kirwan Commission done?
Yes, the commission has finished their meetings. So the MSEA executive director was a member of the Kirwan Commission. There are no other meetings that are currently planned to bring that commission back, Teresa. So it won't revert to me. What I think you know, and maybe some of your members know, there was a side commission that made recommendations on the details of the funding formula that I was a member of, and have obviously been a part of the Kirwan Commission work from the beginning, and expect to be part of the ongoing deliberations with the General Assembly about how we override and make some adjustments as we move forward.
So I just saw a question in the chat about the money from sports betting. Well, Sean, you know, we're a little gun shy about sin taxes and gambling and lottery money, and because we've just seen it used in inappropriate ways. So, you know, we'll share whatever comes out of the convention. I'm sure it will be a great topic because it is a referendum. When the delegates go to the RA, it will have to pass by, I believe it's a 2/3 lift to approve the recommendation of the board. Isn't that correct?
On candidates, it's 58%. I need to check, actually, Teresa. That's a good question. It may very well be 58%.
I think it has the same lift for a referendum.
Yeah,
Definitely
definitely true on all statewide candidates.
You'll hear more about that. They'll be the ones making that decision. Listen, Sean, I want to thank you for, I know you had a long day today. I want to thank you for coming on and being a part of this. We, you know, congratulations again on your appointment to this position, and we look forward to seeing you again and again and again. Thank you.
And again and again, thank you, President Dudley, and thank you all for the warm welcome today, and always been great partners. Look forward to continuing that work with you. Thank you.
We'll see you in Annapolis.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Bye,
So
guys.
moving right along, Yvonne Basich, are you there?
I am here. Do you have a copy of the, just, can you put it up on the screen?
I think I can. Go ahead and talk while I put it up, while I can find it to put up on the screen.
So, I wrote a, just sort of a statement that I thought PGCEA should make. We should make some kind of a statement about RBG and about her passing and about what she has meant to all of us. It's a short statement. I think Teresa is going to put it up. I guess I move that this be our statement for PGCEA. We can send it to the press if you so like. We can show it to our members, and that's about it.
Okay, give me 2 seconds and I can pull it up. I thought Josh had it. It's okay, no big deal. It's
Yvonne, I second it. It's Amity.
Okay. Ruth.
So Amity was the one who prodded me.
Okay.
And the two of us collaborated on the statement.
Yvonne did a lot of work on the statement, but she's right. I prodded her.
While I'm pulling this up, I'm going to say that
You want me to show it?
You have it?
Yeah. Let me I guess
No,
you
I
can
have it in my I have it. I've got it. I have it. I have it.
I believe it's a wonderful statement. I'm glad it came to fruition.
Can I share my screen?
Yes. Why not?
No, I'm asking Josh.
Oh,
Here it is. Share. Can you see that, Yvonne?
yep. You want me to read it?
Go ahead. It's perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, there are people in the life of a nation upon whom we defend to fight for us. They fight for justice, for freedom, for civil rights, for economic and environmental rights. Without them, our country would still be in the backwater with Jim Crow, not allowing women to vote, segregation, and other sins with still operating procedure. We call these people our heroes, and they are. When they leave us, we feel sorrow, but we don't feel powerless. These heroes give us strength to continue the struggle for justice. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was such a hero. For almost 50 years, she was our warrior. She changed the world for women's rights, as she also fought for voting rights, civil rights, and was a representative of all the people on the Supreme Court. At today's memorial ceremony, well, it was back then, at the Supreme Court, one of the reporters commented that Ginsburg's coffin was the smallest one that has ever stood in the Supreme Court or the Capitol Rotunda. With her quiet voice, tiny stature, and enormous intelligence, she was our warrior. We mourn Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing and our hearts are hurting. In her name, we rededicate our lives and our sacred souls to keep fighting, to continue the struggle to transform our country into the full measure of its vision of a just society.
Without objection, the president of PGCEA will be sending this out as a statement.
A question or point of order. Could we please spell check it and correct the grammar before we send it out?
Thank you. I second that.
I third it.
You know what? Without objection, I accept that as we accept that. Okay, thank you, Yvonne. While we're here together, this morning I got some news that another one of our members has passed away from COVID. And I'm not going to say the person's name because I have not verified it personally, but I've gotten it from about 3 or 4 different sources. And we lost 2 members back in March attributed to COVID as well. Over 200,000 people have passed away from this dreaded virus right now. And I just want to take a moment and just, whoever you call on, thank you. Let me just say this. Your safety is my #1 priority. And if it's not right for us to go back into the buildings, I promise you I will fight tooth and nail for that, for your safety, for our staff's safety. That's why PGCEA is still closed, the physical building. And we can talk about that later. So let's get back to the agenda and to our PowerPoint presentation so we can hear from, we're moving into our agenda, Donna Christie.
Here.
Let me stop sharing.
Stop sharing because I can't see anything. There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. For everyone who's a new representative, congratulations on your election. I am Dr. Donna Christie. I'm the treasurer. And so for my report this month, We're closing out the end of the year. Our fiscal year began on September 1st. Dues have not started to be collected. They don't, or have they?
They have. It started on September 18th.
Okay, yeah, because I was new this year. I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's my usual spiel on September board meeting. But that changed this year, yeah. So dues have started to be collected, but they're not going to register to us on our balance sheet for another minute. So financially, we'll be fine, but right now we're always at the point, the beginning of the school year, where our expenses exceed our revenues. Since Melissa's on, I want to give a huge thank you to Melissa Robinson, our office manager. She's like my wing woman for pretty much everything we do. I couldn't do the job of treasurer without her, as well as Mr. Jeff Wilson is our accountant. And so just a couple things. If you were a rep last year for the first time, you should have received at some point a request for Bill.com to sign up for Bill.com, because there is some stipends related to being a rep, and we need to be able to deposit that money in your bank account. And so if you are a new rep, there is a form. You have two options. Melissa's going to be sending out emails to all of the new reps in the next couple of days for you to sign up for Bill.com. If you put your own information into Bill.com, you are responsible for it being correct. If you put in a 5 instead of a 3, that's going to be on you. So the other alternative is there is a direct deposit form that you can fill out and send into Melissa. I see you moving, Melissa. Are you getting ready to drop it in the chat, or do I need to do that? Huh?
No, you are. I'm just letting people know that the email will be coming from Bill.com.
Okay, so I got it. So I just dropped the link to the form in the chat. So that's the alternative to doing Bill.com. If you fill that form out, send it to Melissa, and then she's responsible for making sure the numbers get right. And if you don't get your money, it's on PGCEA instead of on you. But it's two options. That one does require you to disclose your banking information, whereas if you put it directly into Bill.com, we would have zero access to your banking information. So it's your choice, but there are two ways to do it. And that way, what happened over the summer or in August, we sent out for people to do it at the end of the year, and people didn't know it was coming because they were new reps, and we hadn't, shared that before we went out for COVID. So people thought it was a scam and were afraid to fill it out. So it's not a scam. If you get a request from Bill.com on behalf of PGCEA, it is not a scammer trying to hack your information. It is so that we can give you money when the time comes.
Well, it's not giving you money. It's money that you
it's money
that the representative council approved in the budget for you to receive. You receive $6 for every rep council meeting that you attend, and you also receive the same remuneration if you attend if you are on a committee. There's
do you want me to share about or you want me to save it for the caucus meeting about rep stipends for the delegates?
No, as a matter of fact, why don't you just move that on behalf of the budget committee? That way we can do it.
All right, great. So on behalf of the budget committee, we would like to, I guess, amend the budget amount for reps. It's kind of a budget, I don't know. But
let me help you out a little bit.
Stipend, go ahead.
The budget committee is moving that we allow a 2-day per diem for the delegates to the convention, to include what the IRS says that they would receive for meals for 2 days.
Second.
$76 per day. So
Second.
It's moved by the budget committee. It doesn't really need.
It doesn't require a second, yeah.
But we appreciate that.
Enthusiasm, Albert, and it's good to see you, Miss. I don't know if you were on earlier when President Dudley recognized that we're all thinking about your health concerns.
Yeah.
That aside, but that aside, it's $76 a day for a total of $152 for the 2 days.
Okay. So, are there any questions about that? Okay. So without objection, the per diem for the delegates to the MSCA convention will be $152. All right, without objection. Okay, anything else, Dr. Christie?
I believe that's it.
Okay, and just so you know, normally when we do the convention, the delegates receive money for their hotel and food and travel, and it usually ends up to be over $300, about $300. So because we don't have to pay for the hotel room, and you know, it just allows them to free them up if they want to get something to eat. Oh, Melissa.
Wait,
Uh-oh.
Giveaway.
Melissa, I need you to answer a question for somebody.
I am.
There's a question of whether the direct deposit form needs to be printed out or can they fill it out electronically to send it?
I just responded. Oh, Lord, sorry. I respond to Amity. Sorry, Amity.
Somebody else, but
You
somebody
do not need to print it out. You can just complete the form. It's fillable, and you can just email it to me.
Okay, Melissa.
I feel it.
Done?
Huh?
Are you done?
Yep.
Amity, you're the only one who asked the question. I got
Okay.
it.
Oh, Amity,
You know
we're
what?
twinning. I see the braces. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Melissa,
Yes,
you got a giveaway for me?
I do. I have a $25 gift card courtesy of American Fidelity, $25 to Amazon.
Okay. All right. Let me do this. Put everybody on the screen. And I'm going to close my eyes and touch somebody. And I touched Margaret Green.
All right.
Margaret Green, who works with the home schools, right, Margaret?
Margaret Green.
Margaret Green. I'm
All
gonna
right,
mute.
Margaret, I'm going to email that to you right now. So also, I have one more.
Oh, get it. Well, go ahead with your bad self.
I
Want
have
me
a
to pick
15.
somebody
I
else?
have a $15 gift card courtesy of Kaiser to Amazon.
Okay. Moving it around. I shifted it around a little bit. Janice Pippins.
All
All
right.
right.
Is it Janice or Janice? I can't hear you, baby.
It's Janice. Thank you.
Okay, Janice.
You're welcome.
All right. I appreciate y'all being on here. I know you could be doing a whole lot of other things. Ooh, Mark Wilger. I love the new look. All right. Let's keep moving on the agenda. Coming up next, I want to introduce our GR chair, Christy Lynch, and our PAC chair, Shari Flynn, and our Go Team chair, Michelle Clark. Ladies, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, go ahead, Christy.
Thank you. All right, so we have a little update for you for the Government Relations Committee. I hope everyone's having a good evening. So Josh, are you going, hope I don't see him anymore. I know he's here somewhere. If you could just upload that for me. We are full swing in election season, not too far out. There we go. And we just want to share some general election information. And as you see on this first screen, we have the Biden-Harris team. And I hope that we're all on board for this. So please stay informed. You can get more information from Education Votes. And if you are able to, please donate to the campaign, because right now, after that little fiasco we saw last night on television, we need to make sure that we're securing their spots. So join Educators for Joe and Harris. Next slide. There we go. All right. So I don't know how many of you have made your decision on how you want to vote, but here on the screen, you will see Maryland's vote by mail process. I know I put in my request for a ballot. I sealed it, I sent it out, and waiting to receive my ballot. Some people have already started receiving their ballots and already started voting. I know I saw in the chat earlier that someone said they had theirs and they were ready to vote. Remember that the applications must be received by October 20th. It says mail by October 15th to be safe. What I say is do it as soon as possible. If you plan on voting by mail, do it as soon as possible. There is a link there for you to check on your
Christy,
vote.
you don't need to take pictures of this. I'm going to send this PowerPoint presentation out to everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
Right,
Oh no, look, I'm not picture taking.
No,
Okay.
somebody else is.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can't. I don't have the chat open.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm highly encouraging people to do this as soon as possible. We can't afford to procrastinate on this. So you should be receiving your ballots. If you've already sent it in, you should already have started receiving your ballots. I know my daughter called me, I want to say yesterday, and said she received hers. I didn't get mine, so I'm going to check my mailbox today to see if I've gotten it. The Maryland, the Apple ballot, you see the website there, mdappleballot.com. You can look at that to look at the endorsed candidates and votes. You heard Sean Johnson speaking earlier about the question 1 and question 2 on the ballot, that MSEA is supporting that, and that after the convention, I believe, we should have some confirmation on the support for question 1 and question 2. I myself, I will be using the Dropbox. So if you don't want to do it in the mail, you can also put your ballot in the mailbox. And for those of you all who are just determined you want to go out and vote, just make it to the polling station and cast your vote. Yes,
Christy,
Nina.
they said that they're going to be using the Washington football team stadium as a voting place.
Right.
So there are going to be several voting places, but I will tell you, you should have received your request for a ballot 2 weeks ago. If you're still sitting on it, send it in. Don't go in if you don't have to. You know, Donald Trump is a liar about the mail being mail
Postal service. Mhm.
Postal service. You know, he's just mad because they didn't endorse him.
Absolutely. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, take it to the Dropbox and drop it in. That's what I said. Whatever you do, vote. Just vote. Okay.
And your mama and your daddy and your cousin and your brother.
And auntie and them. Okay. Next slide. Somebody said, how many signs are we allowed? That depends on where you live.
They're talking about the signs that are at PGCEA and
oh, okay.
I have about 15 signs still in front of my house, and I believe there are about maybe 10 or 12 still over at PGCEA. So just don't take all of them if you're not going to put them up. That's just wrong. All right.
Right, because we want them to be able to go around. All right, next slide. Yes, get that Biden sign.
Okay.
Next
by
slide.
the way, Christy, Josh just dropped the Apple ballot information into everybody at PGCEA just got that.
Got it. Okay. That mdappleballot.com. We want to be informed. You need to know what you're doing. I love it. We say Dave Chappelle knows.
Go back.
Go back. Because Dave Chappelle was kind enough to come when we were in the last election cycle.
Supporting Ben Jellison. I got permission from him so that we could use this.
Good.
The Apple ballot does matter.
It does matter. And those of you that are able to get those signs, please, and you can put them out, please get them and put them out in your yard sign. Okay. Moving on.
This is what happens when you had an ADHD kid running the slideshow.
Next slide. Okay, there's that Apple ballot. with the people that are teacher recommended. And you know what? I don't have my, it's funny, I got my Black Lives Matter. I meant to wear my teacher recommended shirt. Teresa, do we have any more teacher recommended shirts?
I certainly do.
Okay, so that might be a giveaway. That might be a giveaway. Yep, here you go. All right, so of course, we've decided Biden and Harris, and for U.S. Congress, we have Anthony Brown and Steny Hoyer, and then our school board recommendations, David Murray, Shayla Adams Stafford, Rahila Ahmed, Kenneth Harris, and Edward Burrows. And what I'd like to highlight here is that we have 2 contested races, and that's District 4 with Shayla Adams Stafford and District 7 with Kenneth Harris. So we're asking that you become informed, and we also can provide you, actually you should have the links to their websites, become informed about those candidates, and we need some help to make sure that we can get them elected, okay? We need some help to make sure that we can get them elected. Every race that's run should be run as though you're in the battle for your life. So you never want to be slack in your campaigning. And these candidates do need our support. So we're asking for people to volunteer for phone banking, for signage, for door knocking, in any kind of way that you can assist. I think that I hope somebody's monitoring the chat because I'm you know, I can't read it.
I'm monitoring the chat. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So we need, I'm like, it's like Uncle Sam wants you. We want you. We need you to be an active participant in this process. If we want to see change, and in not just your overall government, but you know, all politics is local. So we need to make sure that we get people on that school board who represent the interests of our students and our educators. And that's why we're supporting these candidates. So please, contacts at PGCEA, if you're interested in supporting, if you want to give them a financial contribution, I am sure they won't turn it down. Oh, keep going. You were right. Go to the next slide. There we go. Whew. All right, so we talked about the ballots received by voters in the mail. So everyone who has already requested a ballot should be receiving them. October 13th is the last day to register to vote. So if you know someone, or if you have not registered to vote yet, and I hope everyone on here has registered, so make sure you go in and check to make sure you are registered. The last day for that is October 13th. And then October 20th is the last day to vote, that your vote by mail application can be received. And of course, we're saying do not wait until the last minute. This is not a time to procrastinate. Early voting starts October 26th, and it runs until the day before the election, until November 2nd. Early voting is at 11 voting centers, and it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Of course, November 3rd is election day, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and there are 41 centers. You can also find that information on the Prince George's County, excuse me, government site. And if we have a link for it, we can drop it in the chat if people need to see.
I have a quick question. This is Andre Duncan. I
Yes.
thought you were able to register to vote during early voting and on election day in Maryland.
You can. There is on-site voting now in Maryland, and in the issue is that what they'll do is you'll sign up and you'll get to vote. And if for some reason you are not able to vote in the state of Maryland, then they'll handle it that way. It came about because there was a lot of people that were showing up at the wrong polling places and told that they couldn't vote and they had to go to this place and they had to go to that place. But now that we have the technology that allows for early voting wherever you vote, it just made sense for them to allow people to do that. So yes, you can register to vote on site. I would not recommend that as a course of action. So yes.
That
Okay.
was the most recent thing.
Because I think that's important for people to know that you can still register to vote during early election, and you can register to vote and vote on election day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That is important, Andrea. That is important because there may be someone that you may know someone who did not, and that you're absolutely right. And I tell people that we need to do like Marion Barry used to do, just round them up, get them to the poll. That's the bottom. Give them a sandwich and a sippy cup. Take them to the
And
poll.
if you registered for a mail-in ballot, I just got my email today saying they're mailing it within the next week. So keep your eye open for an email. You will be getting one soon if you have not already.
Andrea, you got yours. All right.
I
Good.
got mine ready to go. I'm waiting on those questions, and they gave me some information today, so I won't put mine. I won't get out my hand.
Thank you, Marvin.
Yes, for that one and question 1 and 2.
What
All
I don't
right.
want us to do is to be a free-for-all conversation because we still have a lot of work to do.
All right, so we're moving on, and there's the link there for the voting centers. This is what I was saying. If we could just drop that in the chat, that would be helpful to people.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone
That's
is going
the
to
last
receive
slide.
a copy of this PowerPoint.
Good.
Okay. I didn't want to release the PowerPoint until after the meeting because I wanted to make sure we had the information that. Okay. Are there any other questions that people have? You can put them in the chat. Okay. So thank you, Christy. I cannot say how important this presidential election is. And what we cannot do is sit idly by in Prince George's County and say, oh, well, everybody thinks Donald Trump's crazy, so I don't have to worry about voting. Yes, you do. Because as soon as you go over that Bay Bridge, as soon as you go through Hagerstown, it's a different world in the state of Maryland. And if we don't vote in Prince George's County and carry the Democratic vote for Biden and Harris, Maryland can go purple or go blue, go red, whatever the colors are. I don't know, but I know it's not the one I want. So we need to make sure that we get out and vote, and then we vote like crazy, because we can, after the racist comments that Donald Trump made last night, I'm sorry, for any man who refers to Africa as a shithole should not be the president of the United States. And I want to remind you of the things that he said. The misogynistic comments that he's made, the things that he said about our members, our vets, calling John McCain a loser because he got caught. I'm sorry. I can't give you any more testimony than that. You don't, and you're right about that, Dr. Windsor. You don't have to go over the bridge. There are some of our members who I've spoken to who believe that he's the way, the truth, and the light. I can't change everybody's mind. I know what I got to do. Okay, so if you or any of your PGCEA friends decide that you want to do a phone bank to NEA members who are registered to vote in Board of Education districts 4 and 7, we will do a pizza party to your house so that you can eat as we kick off the party together with a quick training. We have the electronic ability to set it up. And trying to do these on Tuesday, this October the 6th, from 6 to 8:30. You will need to attend the entire party. They will do it on Zoom. If you would like to do it, then all you have to do is RSVP by Friday, and I'm gonna send this out to you, and then we can set it up, okay? All right. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Josh.
Sorry, this is a video. I'm trying to get it to load. see if this video will play. 1 second. Bear with me.
We just lost you all together. Basically, it's a video that shows you how to vote. There's a link to it. And we put the link in the Newsette last week. We'll put it out again. You got it, Josh? Ooh. All right, go ahead. Is it on?
2020 has been full of surprises, but voting doesn't have to be. You can vote by mail, vote early, or vote on Election Day. To vote by mail, visit elections.maryland.gov and submit an application, or print it, fill it out, and return it. Your ballot will then be sent to you, or you can download it. Then mail it back or drop it off. You can also vote early in person starting October 26th, or vote on Election Day. You can find out where and who to vote for online.
That's it. And you can share that link with anybody you want to. Because when I send you this PowerPoint presentation, you'll have all of these links. Okay, we could go back to the PowerPoint. I want to introduce next Stephanie Massey, the bylaws chair.
Okay. Oops, I lost it. Hold on. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget anything. And it disappeared. There it is. Okay. So, good evening. My name is Stephanie Massey. It's my pleasure to serve you as Bylaws Committee Chair. I'm going to make this real quick. So, because I know time's going, so I'm not going to read everything I was going to read. So the Bylaws Committee has been charged by the President to review the bylaws and any bylaw amendments presented to the committee. In the Newsette on the 20th, there is a copy of what the is in the bylaws in terms of what the bylaw says in terms of how you submit bylaws and who can submit bylaws. For example, the bylaws may be amended by the affirmation vote of 2/3 of the regular members voting. So, and it also talks about that you need, the amendments may be proposed by the board members, the representative council, by committees, or by petition signed by at least 20%. You have to have 20% of the members in a petition in order to submit a amendment. Okay, they have to be in writing to me by October 1st at 5 o'clock. It is, our election now starts in January. So in the bylaws, it says it has to be to you no later than January, but because we do our elections in January, we will present it to you in the November Rep Council meeting. And that's the end of my report, Madam President.
Yes, we will be having a December Rep Council this year. We don't normally have one in December, but we will have one in December because this is a with the movement of the elections up. Our elections used to be in they used to be in March, but when we moved them so that they would be done electronically in I hate that word, in sync with MSCA's elections. We wanted, to me as president, it made sense to move and have that representative council meeting in December. And so that's what we will do. And the candidates will have—
I said no.
Okay, to present their speeches at the December Rep Council meeting. Can we go back to the PowerPoint, please? Is that it, Stephanie?
Yes, that's it. I want to make sure everybody knows October 1st by 5 o'clock.
Okay, Annette Jones and Olive Lennox.
Sorry, Olive Lennox.
Can you give us a recap of the scholarship?
Olive. Okay, since he's not there, I'll deputize for Olive. Well, welcome everybody. Olive and I represent. I'm a member of the MAC committee, and our liaison person to the board is Felix. I'm not going to pronounce the name. I always mess it up. We are charged with, one of the charges we have is to celebrate or plan activities regarding the Martin Luther King holiday day. We have so far met, and we have decided we'll be rolling out, finalizing plans for that, and we will be rolling that out pretty soon. We have decided on continuing with the essay writing. However, we have scrapped the art part of it due to the COVID pandemic and CDC regulations, so to speak. In addition to that, we have also planned, we will continue with our purpose of Taste of Diversity, but this time we probably will do a virtual cooking online with our noted chef, Chef Ian. That's in February. And then we are thinking about our scholarships. The president said, because I did not expect to share all this. I'm talking off the top of my head, so mind my mistake. I apologize. But this year, the foundation, which is your contribution, the teacher's contribution, some that we have collected, the foundation along with PGCA was able to allot 41 scholarships to high school seniors. And that's a great push. And so we urge you as new members.
Can you say that again?
What? Oh, the scholarships?
Yeah, how much money did we give away from educators donating?
Educators, people like you, everyone who are online, everybody contributed. And because of your contribution, we were able to offer 41 scholarships, $1,000 each to high school seniors. And that's
amazing.
And that's amazing. They were pretty much grateful, although we were not able to do a celebration of such. There were a lot of them wrote back to say how appreciative they were of based on the circumstances. So we urge you, as a MAC committee, we are minority, we focus. As you look at the election last night, everyone should have already made their decisions. I think for the moderator, we would recommend they use a teacher, because to keep certain people interested and get things rolling. We have to get out. We have to start volunteer. Our committee members have pledged, and we also urge you to join our committee. I know Ms. Lennox will not mind, join our committee. So because we're going to push forward, we have to get someone in place to represent and speak on our behalf, who can connect with us. And that's one of our goals as a committee, to try and help to get out the votes. And we have to. That's all.
Let me say something. Our issues for emphasis that we are working on this year, that we talked about: safely reopen the schools, Black Lives Matter, restorative practice, community schools, PTA partnerships, our legislative agenda, our bullying policy, and conditional teachers. That is going to be embedded in every single committee's work so that we can get the work done. Okay, moving right along. Can we go to President's report?
You were going to do Go Team.
Well, the Go Team is part of the elections process.
Okay.
And was there anything else that we needed to add, Michelle? Did we cover
for the Go Team? No, just get out there and vote and help us whenever. And please, if we send you a text message via Hustle, don't get mad at us. Just say thank you and please listen to the advice.
Yeah, the only complaint I've gotten from those is that people are hustling late at night. That's the only thing, because it hits people's phones. But
Yeah,
that's
not after 9 o'clock.
okay. So there's me, and I want to give you my report. That was when I was having a good hair day at NEA, and I had a professional photographer take that picture. I want to share a couple of things with you that came from NEA. One is that NEA has developed a list of demands surrounding Black Lives Matter. And I didn't have time to get all of this in here because we just had our meeting on Saturday. But I will be sharing with you the demands of NEA around Black Lives Matter, and they are significant. And they are in alignment with what we have been talking about with Black Lives Matter. There are going to be grants from NEA for us to continue our work on Black Lives Matter. And I do want to send a special shout out to Amity. Are you still there?
Hi, I am here.
And they have been just protesting all summer long on Black Lives Matter. They've put together a group called Prince George's County Changemakers, along with Crystal Oriata, and they have been doing some fabulous work. And Amity.
Yes.
I want to personally thank you for your commitment to the cause, because you have been doing a yeoman's job, and it was my honor as the president to be a part of several of the protests and the chalk-ins and all of the things that PG Changemakers, and if you could put the PG Changemakers in the chat, if the link to the sign up to be a part of PG Changemakers working on Black Lives Matter, we would love to have that in the chat. If you could do that, please.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you for the contributions that you've made to the events. That's very grateful. And I also want to thank Zena for her participation and her continued participation and sharing her talents as a member of PG Changemakers Coalition. So thank you, President Dudley.
We do have a Black Lives Matter in PG, BLM, PG Facebook page that has been set up so that different organizations across the county that are working on Black Lives Matter issues, well, let me just say I set it up so that it's a resource. And what I've done is I've given different groups access to that page so that they can post their events. So when I say Black Lives Matter, I mean it. And they called me and asked me if we had any resources for them. And I said, yes. They were still talking. I said yes already. We're in this. Evaluations. So last month, I think I told you that the school system had put together the evaluations plan based on the distance learning. They put it in they posted it on the staff portal, and they forgot one little thing, and that was they're supposed to bring it to the bargaining unit, which is us, for us to agree to it. Well, I wouldn't agree to it, and I pushed back and I said, I'm not signing it, because how can we be observed and evaluated in a distance learning environment when there's no data to support what a basic, what an ineffective, effective, or distinguished educator looks like in this environment? We don't have the data. We don't know, we haven't disaggregated the data. We don't know whether or not it's because the students don't have technology or because the educator doesn't have the prowess with the technology. All of those variables were not clearly defined. And I said, because of that, I wouldn't sign off on it. And I pushed back, and they said, well, we might have to revert to the state plan. And I said, well, what if 10,000 people don't do it? I said, what happens then? I said, worst case scenario, we all get an ineffective for the year. We're not going to get fired till next year. We're not going to get 2 ineffectives in a row. So we'll just worry about that next year. They didn't like that. So that's when Dr. Golson came back and said, we'll make it a pilot program for this year. The distance learning plan that allows for, they're gonna do our observations on a domain level as opposed to a component level, and there will be no SLOs this year. So but the beauty, the best part of it, that it's going to be a pilot program. And that pilot program means that if you were on cycle this year, right, and there's no problems with your job performance, you will not be on cycle again next year, okay? The look fors are different for the domains. Observations will not begin until after October the 12th. As you heard me ask Dr. Coley, there are going to be workshops that you can attend to see what the difference is and what they'll be looking for in a virtual environment as opposed to in a regular classroom. But remember, no one will receive an ineffective this year because it is a pilot program. The other piece about observations and evaluations and what principals will be looking for when they come into your classes are lesson plans. Now, I've been getting a lot of complaints from people about administrators having them put lesson plans up into a Google Doc and no one knows where they go and they don't get any feedback from them. It has been used as a compliance tool by administrators. You gotta make sure you upload your Google Docs. They look and see if everybody uploaded it, and if you didn't upload them, then you're in trouble for not planning. Well, this is the virtual world, and people are just trying to keep up day to day. If you can get your plans done a week ahead of time, and you feel like sending them in to make your principal happy, that's on you. But to make everybody do it is just not everybody plans that way. And personally, I don't think you should spend the weekend trying to upload plans on a Sunday night. That's your day off. So the other piece about the, excuse me, about the lesson plans is, please, if your principal walks into your room and you do not have lesson plans clear and available and they don't understand, you don't have your objectives in your classroom, they can put you on a progressive development plan and they can require you to upload those lesson plans on a weekly basis. Now, I did get a report from a school where the principal said, well, that's fine, I'm gonna put everybody on an action plan. No, you won't. And if your principal or your administrator says that to you, please send it to me, because then they'll be on a professional development and growth plan, because that's bullying. Did y'all hear me? Somebody shake their head yes. Okay. So I started to feel like a preacher here. Y'all not helping me now. Y'all not helping me. Okay. So make sure that if you have any issues with your technology, your laptop, if you can't get on the internet for some reason one day, call your principal. Let them know what's going on. Don't just blip out. Leave is still being carried on as normal. There is a policy, and I meant to send it out this past week in the Newsette, but the CEO shared with us what the protocols and procedures are if somebody gets COVID in a workplace. It really affects the educators who are going into the classroom on a daily basis to work. Like, who do you notify and what would be the procedure with that school? We've had schools and sites closed down over the past couple of weeks because somebody tested positive for COVID. If you do get a positive test, there is a procedure, and I will send that out. It's available. I'll make sure that it's on our website. Can a principal give a formal observation after the initial observation without advance notice? I'm going to say this to you. If you are on cycle, you need to go on. I'm going to get the links and I'm put them in the chat room before we leave today. You need to go into the evaluation portal, and all of the things the booklet on what the distance learning plan looks like, the look-fors, the timelines, everything is right there in the staff portal, but I'm going to send it out again to everybody so that you have it. Last week or a week or so ago, we met with the benefits office. As you know, can you click ahead? Open enrollment is coming up October 6th through the 22nd. And this is an opportunity for you to update your benefits. On October the 10th, click up, move ahead, move a slide. On October the 10th, we're going to have how to maximize your employee benefits on that Saturday morning. We're going to have representatives from Care First, from Kaiser, from American Fidelity, because what I'm finding is that people don't know how to organize their benefits so that you save money. For example, if you don't have a flexible spending account, you should have a flexible spending account when you spend a significant amount of money on medical expenses. Portia Deer wears eyeglasses. She can get, if she wants to get extra eyeglasses and she uses her flexible spending account, then that's pre-tax dollars and she gets, it saves her money over the course of the year. Now, I buy 2 pair of glasses every year using my flexible spending, because with my ADHD self, I lose my glasses all the time. It's okay. It's a cost I've assumed. But the other beauty of flexible spending is you can use it for dependent care, and you can use it for your prescriptions at CVS so that you're not paying out of your pocket every time you go. You can use it to pay your deductibles at doctor's offices. They give you a little WageWorks card. But if you don't know how to coordinate all of your benefits, for example, if you're in the sick leave bank, right, but you're a new teacher and you don't have 30 days of sick leave, do you know that you should get short-term disability insurance so that you'll be covered for those first 30 days that you have to be out, because you have to be out 30 days before the sick leave bank will kick in? Are you a member of the sick leave bank? How does that work? Melissa can tell you how many times I get calls from people. And if you're on this call right now and you're not a member of the sick leave bank, as soon as you get off this call, you need to go and join the sick leave bank, because I get calls. I get calls from members who say, I didn't know I was going to, I didn't think I would get cancer, but I have stage 4 cancer, Miss Dudley. And or I fell down the stairs in my house and broke both of my legs, Miss Dudley. That teacher at Bradbury Heights will tell you how the sick leave bank saved her. Andrette Duncan, you still there?
Yeah, and you know me, I've been in there. I'm gonna go in there again if I have to. But I've been putting messages, application is due. Let's get them in by midnight.
That's right, because you know, Andrette has been able to take advantage throughout her career of the sick leave bank, and tell them, Andrette, tell them to do it, girl.
You have no choice, really. I'm my own household. I suggest that you have those things in place. If you know that you never used it before, it's gonna take 30 days to get you over there. At least do your family a favor and open up a short-term policy. That'll be that 30-day bridge between the time you get sick and those 30 days of leave with pay or leave without pay that you must endure to get to the sick leave bank. It's pennies on the dollar.
You don't have to enroll every year. I saw in the chat room somebody said you have to re-enroll every year. No, it automatically will come out the 1st of July of every year. Okay? All right. And you'll get information about the Saturday the 10th, the maximizing your employee benefits virtual event that we're going to have. We're still finalizing some of the vendors. Okay, next slide, please. So the MSEA convention is coming up on the excuse me, on the 16th through the 17th. Go ahead and click on that slide, Josh. And what every year at the MSEA convention, they have workshops. And when you, one of the things that we have negotiated with the school system is that on the 16th is a professional development day. And on the 16th, you will be able to go to the workshops at MSEA virtually, but you have to sign up for the virtual workshops. And these are the lists of the workshops. If you, when you get the PowerPoint, you'll be able to just click on it and it'll take you right there. The MSEA webpage tells you how to sign up. Please sign up in advance so that you can participate in that. You will get a certificate that you will be able to show your principal that you were engaged in professional development on the 16th. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you, Paul Semmelfort, for talking about the sick leave bank. I talked about Black Lives Matter earlier. This year, our Restorative Justice and Restorative Practices Committee will be continuing our work on Black Lives Matter. I have a 25-year-old son. I shouldn't need to say anything more about how he shouldn't have to die being Black and in America, and he shouldn't have to worry about that. If you don't know your MSEA number, you can text Melissa, or you can email Melissa. Next slide, please. And the shirts are still available. Next slide, please. Send me an email, Siobhan, if you're interested on the Black Lives Matter committee. Next slide, please. We have our executive director, Jennifer Epps. Jennifer, do you have a report?
Hi. My report is very short. I actually want to relinquish most of my time to Gary Brennan to talk about the coach win that we had this week.
Yeah, we had a win. Go ahead, G.
All right. Thank you for, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to first thanks for this opportunity. As a lot of you know, the sports coaches last year that were docked their pay because of the coronavirus shutdown. They only got 24% of their pay, certainly through no fault of their own. Many of those coaches went on. We're working with students. We're talking to parents. We're communicating with their teams and planning for a season that was not actually canceled until April 28th. And so the school system had said they felt 24% was fair because things were shut down on March 13th. The spring coaches and PGCEA disagreed. And so we filed a grievance on behalf of the spring coaches. 3 coaches came forward to put their name on the grievance, including Zena, who's here in the meeting tonight. Anyway, after some back and forth with the board, the chief of HR finally agreed that they would up the coaches' pay to 75% of their the emolument or stipend that they should have gotten last year. This is a big victory because we have language that does give the chief of HR the ability to reduce coaches' pay in the event of something beyond their control. I think that's language we need to look at in our next round of bargaining. I don't know that when or how that got in there in the first place, but it's there. But we were able to show that because the season wasn't actually canceled until April 28th by the state organization, that it was unfair to only pay the coaches 24%. So in this Sunday's Newsette, we're going to have some direction for spring coaches as to how they file for that extra pay that they had already earned. You do have to submit some evidence that you did work after March 13th. My understanding is they're not asking for, pages and pages of information, but more of a list of some of the things that you had done. Of course, that should not include working with students, because at the time the schools were shut down. Practices should not have occurred during times of COVID, and coaches shouldn't have been meeting with their teams. But coaches were having students do things on their own, or they were, I know one coach who delivered uniforms that people had ordered and paid for during the COVID shutdown. So that we just wanted to let you guys know that we did make that grievance. We're really happy that it worked out the way that it did, and there will be some specific directions in the Newsette this Sunday for people who are spring coaches to get that increased pay.
All right, Gary, thank you so much. So that's two big wins we had this month. One, the coaches, and two, the evaluations pushback on that. And I do want to say that I think another win for us is that people are getting involved. And we had 3 meetings with the elementary, middle, and high school guidance counselors. And we are now moving towards having a caucus, and they will be meeting with Ms. Faison and her folks on behalf of PGCEA as a caucus. So we're really happy that we're seeing this kind of activity with the psychologists as well, because here's the deal. We've got to get organized now and get everybody ready, because next year when Jennifer's taking y'all into negotiations, you've got to be ready. We're going to have to, we may have to occupy Sasser again, okay? Jennifer,
there's a couple more things, Teresa, just
sure.
Quick things. Another win was the grievance on co-teaching and making sure that people get the sub pay. So just remember that. And I think we're going to talk about more, at least in my report, more of the victories that we're seeing, because there is a lot happening. And as well as we've hired for the year, NEA gave us a grant, and we've hired a parent community organizer who's going to help us move that work that we've been doing for a while with our parents and our community, to make sure that, especially when we go back to the negotiations table, that we're together with them. She actually couldn't be here tonight because she's at a meeting with the Beacon Heights parents and teachers. She had one earlier today with Edward Fellergy, and they had 16 parents and teachers on that meeting, talking through what are the things that parents need as it relates to distance learning, and what are the things that the teachers need. So she'll be reaching out to the reps more and more to try to organize those meetings so that there's more communication outside from back to school night, or when a parent emails you, about how to collaboratively work together about issues that are going on in the schools, and then long range issues that we know we need to talk about and work on overall.
Join your school's PTA. Join and support your school's PTA. I'll say the same thing I said last year. If you join your school's PTA and you send me the receipt, I will reimburse you. It is that important, because it's the Parent Teacher Association. Okay, that's really, really important. Anything else, Jen?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. So we should have been finished 20 minutes ago. And I do want to do member petitions and comments. Oh, there goes the giveaway thing again. All right, I'm gonna do one more giveaway, and then I'd like to entertain a motion without objection, moved by Donna Christie, seconded by Jacqueline.
For anyone who needs more information on that, especially if they're not a veteran, SIPR coordinator, they may have ever seen an exhibitor's handbook, so we're gonna have a follow-up in December for them.
Who's that talking? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Moved by Donna Christie, seconded by Margaret Green, to extend the meeting for 15 minutes for member petitions and comments.
And NSCC needs to speak.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You know, you wait till the last minute. Okay. All right. Here we go. Without objection, I'm going to move right along. NECC, Lenora. Scott. Lenora. Lenora Scott, talking about our upcoming elections.
There we go. Thank you. This mic thing. Blame it on the computer. Anyway, NECC wants to announce to the Rep Council, and we ask that you share the information with those individuals in your buildings, that we have positions open for election this year. As Ms. Dudley said earlier, our election will be conducted along with or simultaneously with MSEA's election. This year we have the presidential seat that's up for by Ms. Dudley. Anyway, we are looking to fill Ms. Dudley's seat. President Dudley this is her last year of her last term. So the presidency is available. And her sidekick, Vice President Basic seat is up for re-election. So we have president, vice president, we have board of directors seat, 4 seats. We have MSEA delegates and NEA delegates that are up. The nominations will open on October 5th. That's next Monday. October 5th, nominations will open. Nominations are electronic, as it has been in the previous year. Information will be sent out to the membership. It will be placed on the PGCEA's website, and hopefully we can get it into the newslet that comes out on Sundays. The last day to nominate yourself for any of these positions will be November 20th. And the PGCEA calendar should be on the website already, but if it's not, we'll make sure it gets up there and you can follow the information from there as well. Any questions?
No, I will be doing a little seminar after the convention. So you think you want to be the president of PGCEA? And I will share with those who are interested in running, who want to really know about what the position of president and vice president and member of the board of directors are. They are major, it is a major position, and it is a lot of work. And I will share with you that I'm not interviewing anybody to be the president, but I want you to understand what the role of the president truly is with respect to leading this organization on policy and leading this organization on action. So I'm hearing a lot of people want to run, and you know what, the one thing that I did when I first became president of PGCEA is I made sure that anybody that was interested in a leadership role had the opportunity to learn. I sent more people to NEA leadership summits, every single leadership opportunity that came along. I used to fight with MSEA because they said, you're sending too many people. I said, but they want to learn. We sent people to summer leadership conferences. So we've had the Sparks program, because the one thing that Reg Weaver told me when I first became president, he was the former president of NEA, he said, plan your exit. Who is going to take your position when you leave? And I know that we have many people who are qualified to lead this organization, and I will be able to lay my head down on a pillow at night knowing that there are quality people who are trained to lead when I leave PGCEA next year. And I can pick 20 people that could be the president of PGCEA or the vice president or the treasurer, because they know the organization, they've been working, and there's a lot of people out there. But I want to have that meeting with everybody. That's what you want to do. I will put the time and the date in the newslet.
We do have on the calendar for October 22nd a candidate information night and training. If that's something that you want to maybe do some breakout rooms on that night, and you can do the one for president, vice president.
We could do it that night. And I would be more than happy to have that as a breakout room there. If that's how you want to do it, I will yield to you, Madam Chair.
You say the last date for nominations is?
November 20th. November 20th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
President?
Yes.
I see that the chat is disabled. This is Philomena Owona.
I disabled the chat because people were politicizing the chat, and I'm not going to allow that.
So I was just trying to put in a link for the Sparks participants that we are trying to get. We are still
I will open it back up again, but I was getting ready to say that's why I closed the chat, because it's appropriate for people to be campaigning in the chat room.
So may I just take this opportunity to just talk to the reps that the Sparks committee, we are still accepting participants. So if there's anyone, a colleague, someone from your school that you want to recommend, the Sparks program is a teacher leadership program like President Dudley is talking about. That's how I came on board. I came on as the Sparks. She saw me and she put me through every possible program. So you talk about MSCA, those summer leadership workshops, I went through there. And of course, the Sparks going through to Ocean City and all of that. But all of that, what has that led me to and the other people? And if you look on this, in this body right here, you see a whole bunch of them. Zena, Zoe, Rosemary, Dominique, a whole bunch of people in PG leadership right now came through the Sparks program. We cannot highlight that enough. So I'm putting in a link in the chat. If it's open, please send us someone, people. Right now we have about 15. This is 2020. We want to break the bank. We want as many as come our way, and we're going to, work with them. Next leadership cadre. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I really want to make sure that people understand that I'm not trying to keep anybody from campaigning, that we have guidelines and rules by when campaigning can begin. And the NECC will be sending out to everybody the rules. But until you are verified as a candidate, I'm not going to allow anybody to do any political campaigning in the chat. That is not what the chat is for. Member petitions and comments. Is there any comments that anybody needs to make that was not in the chat room? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, Teresa. I want to thank I want to take a moment of personal privilege for all of your prayers. As you can see, I got my little compress on my carotid artery. It was a grueling hour and 47-minute surgery that was supposed to have been only 18 minutes. I'm glad that everybody was praying for me, because I tell you, that breathing tube down your throat, you're out for the count, and a delicate surgery that normally would go through your phenal artery had to be performed through your carotid artery. Is not something to joke with. So I'm glad to be here. And I thank you all guys. I thank all you guys and girls for all your prayers. Thank you.
All right. We're going to keep you in our prayers, Albert Barnes. You know I love you very much. All right.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
If your computer breaks down or your internet has problems, what kind of leave are you taking? Is that sick? Is it personal? Is it professional? What is that?
I don't know. You need to talk to your principal. It's not leave. You just can't do your job. So what you would need to do is you'll need to do is document it with your administrator, and then what if the principal can find a workaround for you. Well, for example, in one case, there was a teacher who didn't have internet, and I know that the principal covered their class for them to have time to get to the school to carry on with the rest of their lessons for the day. They are doing other creative things. If you have a technology problem with your laptop or your with your laptop, then you need to contact your principal and then contact the help desk, and they are giving people backup Chromebooks while your computer's being fixed. Okay.
Teresa, quick question. A teacher had texted me earlier. I think I'm not 100% clear if it was covered in the presentation.
Annette Jones from Perrywood.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Okay, no, that you guys are supposed to say that when you come to the microphone.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
So she wanted to, her principal had scheduled collaborative meetings on Wednesdays. On Wednesday, that's what they do. So she was asking if it's not small group or it's collaborative meetings.
Well, here's the thing. If your schedule on Wednesday or your schedule on a daily basis has planning in it, right? So let's say you have an hour and a half of planning time on a good day. Then in most, 45 minutes of planning that you have guaranteed, Annette, for elementary?
No,
per day?
not me. We good, yes. At Perrywood, we good. But
So if your schedule, your regular schedule has a block of time for collaborative planning on Wednesdays, then your principal can ask you to collaboratively plan during the time outside of your allotted planning time.
oh, she is doing it. The principal is actually doing it with them.
What do you mean she's doing it? Collaborative planning is teacher-led.
Yes,
It's not
that's what she said. That's what the text said.
Okay, well then she needs to contact me.
Okay, that's what I said. Call Teresa.
To contact me because that's what Dr. Coley was saying at the beginning of the meeting. Trust me, they are swooping down on these principals the principals are mad because they have to go in. They're mad because, and I'm gonna be frank with you, when we walked in the room back over the summer and they asked us, what do you want to do? And all the other 3 unions agreed to a hybrid model. I said, no, we want to stay with distance learning. They got what they said that they agreed to do. So don't be mad at me, be mad at your leadership because you have to go in. Don't take it out on my people. Okay? So have them send me an email at contacts@pgcea.org. Okay? Anybody else got a question?
I got a question. This is John Hanson, Karen Ross.
Hi, Ms. Ross. How can I help you today?
I help you today is we are Montessori, which is we have multi-ages. We have upper level people are not Montessori. So now they want to switch children out to make sure that all siblings are together at this late date, which goes against the Montessori program. Like if you have twins or triplets, they want to be twins and triplets in all the classes. And then if we go back to the schools, they go back to their regular teachers.
I'm not sure I understand the complexity of what you're saying. And what I'm going to ask you to do, because that is, hold on a second, this is very site specific.
Okay.
If you could please send me an email about explaining that to me. I think what I'm hearing you say is that there are siblings that are not Montessori that they're trying to put into your school.
No. They're Montessori. Like if you have triplets or twins, they want all the triplets and twins in the same classroom, which still they're going to get different lessons. But because our principal's not Montessori, nobody's in the cluster is really Montessori trained, they don't see that. And it's really, we had 2 teachers breaking down crying in a meeting today because they know that's going to mess up everything. And people are like, I'm getting ready to quit.
Well, I will hope that they don't quit and that we can have a discussion about that. That is a very site-specific question. And I'm going to ask you to send me that in writing because I need to investigate that.